When someone says they miss you, it often seems like a simple expression of longing and regret. But in reality, it carries a deeper, more poignant meaning. It's not just about the absence of your presence. It's about the painful realization that no one else loves them the way you did. They may have taken your love for granted, tried to replace you, and in the process, found it harder than they imagined. At its core, the phrase, "I miss you," often stems from a bittersweet awareness that something irreplaceable has been lost. It's a recognition that the love you once gave them was unique, and no one else can fill that void. In this article, we explore what happens when someone misses you, the emotional undercurrents of regret, self-discovery, and the painful truth of what they've let slip away. In any relationship, romantic, familial, or even platonic, it's easy to take the people we love for granted. The comfort of familiarity often leads us to believe that the connection we share is everlasting. We assume that love is something that will always be there, like a steady backdrop to the drama of life. But this assumption is dangerous. It's easy to forget that love isn't a guarantee. It's a bond that requires care, attention, and mutual effort to thrive. Often, we fall into a pattern of complacency. We assume that since our partner or loved one has always been there for us, they always will be. The love we give and receive becomes something we take for granted, no longer appreciating it for the precious gift that it is. We stop putting in the same effort, become distracted by other parts of life, or simply forget to nurture the relationship. But what happens when that love is no longer available? What do we realize when the person we assumed would always be there walks away or begins to distance themselves? In those moments, the phrase, "I miss you," becomes much more than a simple expression. It becomes an acknowledgement of the void left behind by a love that once felt infinite. Taking love for granted. When someone takes your love for granted, it can feel as though you're an always present fixture in their life. Reliable, constant, and predictable. They may begin to overlook the things that once made the relationship special, or perhaps assume that no matter what happens, you will always be there to support them. This complacency doesn't come from a place of malice, but rather from a false sense of security. This pattern can manifest in many ways. They might stop putting in the same effort they once did, or become too preoccupied with other aspects of their life, new friends, career ambitions, or personal interests. They forget that love, like any living thing, requires attention and care. Relationships are not static. They need nurturing to grow and thrive. But when that love is no longer there, the absence is palpable. The space once filled with your care, attention, and devotion begins to echo with emptiness. That's when they start to realize the depth of what they've lost. They may even experience guilt for not appreciating you as they should have. And when they say they miss you, it's no longer just about your presence. It's a recognition that they took your love for granted. The attempt to replace you. When someone loses your love, the first instinct is often to fill the void. It's a natural reaction, driven by loneliness or the desire to avoid facing the pain of loss. They might seek out new relationships or throw themselves into new friendships, hoping that someone else will fill the space you once occupied. However, this is rarely as simple as it seems. You cannot simply replace a person you once loved deeply. The connections you share with others are unique, shaped by time, experiences, and the emotions you invested in one another. It's like trying to replace an original painting with a cheap reproduction. While the colors may be similar, the essence of the original is missing. In their quest to move on, they may form new relationships, but these connections rarely provide the same depth or fulfillment. They might try to convince themselves that they've found someone better or someone who suits them more, but deep down, they know that no one else can love them the way you did. It's a painful, yet necessary realization that not all love is the same, and not all connections can be duplicated. The struggle to replace what can't be replaced. The real difficulty comes when they realize that no matter how many new faces they encounter or relationships they form, they can't replace the bond they had with you. They may spend months or even years trying to replace you, but no one else will love them with the same intensity, the same level of commitment, or the same understanding. Love is not something that can be replaced or replicated with ease. It's woven into the very fabric of your shared history, the small moments of connection, and the quiet support you gave each other. Even if they find someone new, it will never be the same. The absence of your love is a wound that no one else can heal. When they come to terms with this, the feeling of loss intensifies. It's no longer just about missing your company. It's the painful understanding that their previous love was irreplaceable. And this is when the phrase, "I miss you," takes on its true meaning. It's not just a longing for the past, but a realization that no one else will ever love them in the same way. The heart of the matter, at the end of the day, when someone says they miss you, it's not just about the absence of your presence in their life. It's about the understanding that your love was something unique, something they took for granted and, in the end, failed to appreciate until it was gone. They may have tried to replace you, moved on with someone new, or buried their feelings under the distractions of daily life. But in the quiet moments, when they allow themselves to truly reflect on what they lost, they realize that your love cannot be replicated. No one else will ever love them with the same depth, patience, or understanding you offered. Perhaps the hardest truth for them to face is that they only truly understand the value of your love now that it's no longer there. And by the time they say, "I miss you," they're not only grieving the loss of your presence, they're grieving the realization that they took your love for granted and, in doing so, lost something irreplaceable. So, when someone says they miss you, take a moment to reflect on the meaning behind their words. It's not just the absence of you they're mourning. It's the painful recognition that the love they once had is gone, and no matter how hard they try, it cannot be replaced. Love is a gift, a rare and precious bond. It's something that shouldn't be taken for granted. If you've ever been the one to miss someone, to regret not fully appreciating their love until it's too late, remember this: love is never truly lost. It's simply a reminder of how rare and valuable it is when it's given freely, and how deeply it can hurt when it's taken for granted. So, if someone says they miss you, know that it's more than just a casual remark. It's the painful acknowledgement that they've come to understand what they lost. They've realized that no one else can love them the way you did. And while they may say they miss you, the question remains: do they truly understand what it means to love and to appreciate love before it's gone?